Hello, this is Lewis Sawyer, aka DBZRemixes, aka Jack the Slayer, or One Soul, or 1,000 other names. First thing, so this is just an update video for everything with this channel, and ignore my giant ass USB microphone. So I just released my baby theme, and also in the description I mentioned that we've actually just had a baby, me and my wife, and thank you everyone who's congratulated us, I really appreciate it. But yeah, so things are kind of having to change a little bit. I'm still working part-time, and long story short, I'm not going to have as much time to dedicate to this channel as I have been for the past like 5 years. So one thing I want to mention is over the last 2 years specifically, people have been asking, are you going to open a Patreon? And I've always been on two minds about it, because I don't want people thinking I only do this for the money, because I've done it for 5 years for free, and I just enjoy making this kind of music. It's a very big passion of mine, this kind of style of music, and the kind of heavy metal style, a lot of the styles that Dragon Ball brings. I've always been a fan of old Dragon Ball music, the Falconer, Shuki Levy, Ron Wasserman, just Mark Menza, the Japanese Kikuchi, Sumitomo, everything Dragon Ball. I love all the music, and I've tried to bring every element of Dragon Ball music together in this channel, but just under the kind of Falconer style for the most part. But a lot of it I've also done some lo-fis and stuff. Anyway, long story short is, so I've decided what I'm going to do is I'm going to open a Patreon. You can donate either $5 or $10. I wouldn't really want to do any more than that for people, but at least this way, if people wanted me to carry on having this channel as consistent as it has been, mainly GT Friday, then this would help out and I can actually do this. The biggest problem right now is I just don't have the time. I'm going to be looking after my wife, I'm going to be looking after my baby, and I also work another job, and I also do part-time animation as well. And as people know, if you follow Dragon Ball Z Invasion of Tradic, I also try and do that in my spare time as well, which is definitely going to slow down soon. But yeah, so long story short, if people still want this channel to be as consistent and to get onto Dragon Ball and Super and eventually Daima or any other things, I'm never going to run out of music, let's put it that way. So at least that way I can still do it. If I don't have too many people on my Patreon by the time I start this again, because every time I do a saga, and the baby saga is going to be next. I did baby's last theme, and I'm going to have a bit of a gap, because I always have a gap in between the sagas. When I start again, which will probably be in March, there will be themes in between then, but just not like in the canon order and everything. When I start in March again, I will release the next baby theme, which will be like teen baby looking. I don't know what his official name is, but that one. And I've got a good idea for that, but it will be a lot slower. So at least this way, for the next month, if people want to donate or subscribe to my Patreon, that is very understandable, and I really appreciate that. It shows that people really care about this channel, and it's been years. I still get comments now where people are like, I'm so glad you're still going. So I want to show people how much it means to me as well, that they're still following this channel. I've had a lot of fun with this channel, a lot. So one thing I want to start doing is I want to make this channel as consistent as it can be. It's one of the reasons that I've started doing things like GT Friday, and I'll upload the next song in whichever saga I'm going to be in on a Friday, so people know where to come, what's going to be there, I won't tell you what character it's always going to be, but it usually is going to be the next song in the right order. And the thing with that is, I like doing odd things like lo-fi remixes. I'll do a synthwave remix. I might do an orchestral remix every now and then, or like a full-on. I was even considering doing like a death metal remix of a few songs, but it's fun, and it's nice having these times in between the sagas where I can do those kind of things and do some songs based on the games, like some of the Budokais and Tenkaichi and Final Bout, those kind of things. I can definitely do more of those, but I don't want it to interfere too much with the main content that I'm doing. So on Patreon, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to try at least twice a month to do something else, like a lo-fi remix of a Dragon Ball song, or a song from a different game in the Dragon Ball style, like I did with Orochimaru's theme. or I did with Raziel's theme, or some of the Sonic music. So it's gonna be there's gonna be something for it, like for actually subscribing to my Patreon. Another thing is I started doing a few like polls and stuff on the channel, so people can vote what they'd like next. So the biggest one I did was when I finished the Kid Buu saga. I asked people, what would you want me to do next? Would you want me to do GT, Super, Heroes, or Dragon Ball Original? And yeah, more than half of you wanted me to do GT, so I'm glad that's what I ended up doing, because I also wanted to do GT next. I kind of wanted to do them in the order they came out over here, well, in England, but also in America. So yeah, I'm glad that people did that. But on the channel, on the Patreon, I'm also going to do some polls of like, what songs would you want a remaster of? Because that's another thing that people have asked me. When I first started, when I started with Raditz and even the start of like the Frieza saga, there's a lot of songs on there, like Dodoria's theme is a good example. Dodoria's theme is a theme that I would love to do a remake of now, since I have better instruments, I have more high quality instruments, way better at mastering and things like that. But I wouldn't want to re-upload it. I wouldn't want to do that because it just kind of negates the original. So that would be something that I'd also do on Patreon. I'd do once a month. I'd have people vote on what song would you want me to remaster, because it'd be nice to go back to a lot of those songs as well, especially like Raditz's theme, because that song's got a lot of, I think it was, last time I checked, it was like 19,000 views or something. And the reason I mention that is I wouldn't want to get rid of it and re-upload it, because then I don't know, a lot of people might even prefer the original version. So at least this way people have both. And I'll also put them up for download as well. I can even put links up for the high quality versions of each song, like the WAV files. But yeah, so that was the main thing I wanted to tell people, is just for the next month I'll be uploading songs. I'm going to do some good ones that are GT related from games, a few collaborations as well, and just little bits and bobs for the next month, whilst I'm basically on paternity, looking after my new baby. Also, that is a thing I'm definitely going to mention, is I promise it is a complete coincidence that the order of the songs I was doing just happened to be baby being released on the same week as my baby was actually scheduled to be born. So that is a complete coincidence. It's the only reason I did it on the Tuesday instead of the Friday, because that was his official due date. So yeah, that was a really weird coincidence, but you never, yeah, things work out weirdly. Anyway, so yeah, long story short, I will do that. I'll put the link in my Patreon down below. I'll say down below, but you know, wherever it'll be, might be up there. That way people can subscribe if they want to. There's no pressure. But if you subscribe for a $5, you can help in choosing songs. I'll put 4 songs up at the end of the month, and I'll say which one of these 4 would you want me to make, or which 4 would you want me to remaster, because I'll do a different thing each month. Or like, what song from the Budokai games would you want me to do? That's another thing. I'm trying to avoid Kenji Yamamoto, because too many times I've made a song thinking, oh, this is the only one that he hasn't stolen, and then I find out in the comments, oh, it's this song, and it's like, you know, it's Slash or it's Disturbed or whatever it is. So I've tried to avoid him, but if people want it, I will do it, because I do still love a lot of his songs. If you're a $10 Patreon, you can actually decide what those ones are that people have voted on. So basically, yeah, you can decide what the songs are that people vote on. If you're a $5, you can vote on it, if that makes sense. But thank you all for subscribing and listening and everything, for keeping up with this channel and being a fan for so long. I appreciate all the comments, and I always try and reply to all of them. If I don't reply to yours, I genuinely have missed it. But thank you so much, and I will see you all soon. Peace.